Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Four Lads Rangers Monday Night Live podcast. We're here to discuss all the latest Rangers news, even including a new signing who arrived yesterday in the form of Jayden Maghoma. So we've got plenty to discuss, as well as today's press conference. We have Champions League build-up and a little bit of review of what went on at the weekend as well with the cup tie against Alloa. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Kenny, good evening, mate, as usual. Welcome.
Thanks, mate. Hope you're well. Hope everybody watching has had a lovely day.
And Davie as well, making up the trio of fantastic hair on the show. How are you, mate? Welcome back.
I'm good and I'm still bald. Monday yet again and raring to go, as they say.
Yep, we are. Okay, so the weekend came and went. Rangers 4-2 victors over Alloa, Davie. You were there. We spoke a wee bit on the gantry before. It was also your birthday, so they didn't ruin it. But it maybe wasn't as polished a performance as we might have wanted. Certainly not as polished as the old dome up here. But what did you make of it?
They didn't. They have spoiled my birthday in the past, so this was by no means the worst performance on my birthday over the years. What did I make of it? I think there was positives and there was negatives, unfortunately. Bearing in mind that there was 10 changes, bearing in mind that quite a few players were given minutes that hadn't played much this season, then I suppose it was always going to be a little bit disjointed. I still felt it was a bit kind of slow and ponderous a lot of the time. I still think the risks we take at the back are verging on the ridiculous. I know Russell Martin likes to call it bravery. I kind of term it stupidity half the time because I just don't know why we do it. But there was a few positives in there. Moore getting a start and he looked quite lively. Asgard coming on. I don't think he done a great deal, but I think he'll fit the system quite well. Iggerman finally coming back. So yeah, there was, and Bajrami obviously got the cracking goal. It's just the defence and the ponderous build-up a lot of the time. I think we just need to improve on. But it wasn't the worst performance of the season, but I think we need to bear in mind the opposition as well.
Yeah, Kenny, what did you make of Saturday's performance?
It's very difficult to take huge amounts out of it, isn't it? It just reminded me of the last couple of seasons of playing lower league opposition. It's all a bit turgid. We don't really put the game to bed early enough. And Davey's right. The defending for both the goals is pathetic. I mean, it's really poor. Really, really poor. And Bajrami took his goal really well. Got an issue with Bailey Rice. I thought he was hung out to dry a little bit at left back. Didn't know the position. Clearly didn't know the position. And as I say, just for me, it's one of those kind of games. You get it out the way. You make 10 changes. You can't really judge too much. I thought we were okay in places and pretty ropey in others. And as Davey's already said, that defence needs tightening is the word I would use. It's got to be better than that because we're going to be up against it in the next couple of weeks. As we know, we've got some really tough games coming. So I would like to see some improvement in the back, please.
Yeah, I think, look, defensively, I thought the goals we conceded, as you boys have already discussed, were a horror show. I mean, the first one, Davey came into the press conference room and said all we were missing from the first goal was the Benny Hill theme music. And then I actually seen it on the internet. Somebody had added it in, and sadly it fitted in perfectly because what we were trying to do there, I don't know. So that wasn't a great start. But the defending for the second one, again, Kieran Dowell doesn't even jump. He's trying to cuddle the boy, wrestle him. I don't know what. He was trying to interfere with his jump. Never worked. Boy got a free header, which ultimately, it bounces down. The boys taps it in. 2 really bad goals. But there was a moment just before that. There was a long ball played up front to Connor Salmon. And he doesn't have a good touch on it. And then he tries to lob the keeper and puts it wide. Just from that one long ball, he kind of got in front of, I think it was Aaron's at the time. He got in between and he had a free run in. Here's what I was going to comment on, boys. And Davey, you can see what you think of this comment, if it's there or thereabouts. I thought on Saturday we treated it like it was a training game. It was almost like a game that they felt like they were going to win. We were always at a tempo that was really mild. they didn't go out with a kind of attitude to me that screamed, we've got goals to have here, we're going to go and push. And I thought it was almost verging on overconfident. And I don't feel like we're good enough to be overconfident against anyone. And while it might not be, that might be the style, it might be a relaxed style, whatever, it just felt like to me we weren't as... I want to see a Rangers team that's hungry and goes and kills team off and gets goals. Goes back a wee bit maybe to midweek against Pilsen, Davie, where you were 2-3-on-1 at the end 2 or 3 times, and we didn't take these opportunities. Happy at such, the game was done, 2-1 defeat, it's fine, we'll just get on with it. Where's that killer desire? And I didn't see any of that on Saturday, which is what I wanted to see. It's almost like they're playing in first or second gear. What do you make of that?
I think the word I would tend to use is safe. I'm actually going to go back to that bravery word again. Bravery is the word that Russell Martin uses a lot in press conferences. He uses it a lot to describe the style of play he wants to see his team play. I felt on Saturday we were very risk averse and very safe all the time. 5-6 passes across the way when there was you could have put the winger in early, but what did we do? We had 3 or 4 extra passes and suddenly he's got 3 men round the ball. It might have been attitude. It might have been a little bit of not wanting to give the ball away, not wanting to take risks. But whatever it is, if ever you can take risks, you can do it against a League One team who, let's be honest, are there for the taking. We did create quite a few chances. Let's be fair about it, but we could have created a lot more if we had played at a tempo that was even half again of what we played. Never mind full throttle. I just get the feeling the handbrake was well and truly still on Saturday. With a lot of players who haven't played a lot of minutes, I think we've got to say that again. But tomorrow night's got to be the opposite. Tomorrow night's got to be not safe, not passive, not slow. Tomorrow's got to be the exact opposite of everything I've just said, because slow tempo football tomorrow will get us absolutely nowhere.
Kenny, it was a performance that was a bit meh, really. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't good. Kenny uses that word. Davie uses the word, Kenny, bravery and things and tempo. He's right, because it does lack it at times. The defending overall was really poor. There's no defending that for me at all. But it was a performance that was just kind of... It didn't do anything to detract the voices or the worries that the fans have got over this setup. I think that's probably fair.
You stuck a comment up there from Gary, and he said insipid, and that's the word that I instantly sprang to mind when you said it. That's pretty much it for me. Davie's saying safe, and it is quite safe, isn't it? That's kind of what it is. It's I feel, as I say, we've watched us play a number of games in cup competitions over the last couple of years, Stevie, and we just huff and puff in these games, from Partick Thistle to Dundee to Morton, and over the last couple of years we don't put these games to bed, and that was an opportunity for us to do so. And that's what concerned me more than anything else, that if you're being honest, Alloa were probably quite happy with the way the game was panning out, probably more than we were, because they were always in the game. And after the first 20 minutes, I thought we were quite okay in the first 20. I thought we looked as if we were going to go and create chances. And then when you stop and you think about it, the only real clear-cut chance that we have made over the 90 minutes where you've kind of ripped them open was the Finlay Curtis goal in the 90th minute. If you stop and think about it, we didn't actually overly create chances. So that's the concern for me, that we had the opportunity to really get a bit of confidence about us, get a bit of flow about our game, and I don't really think we took it. And you're both right. If we turn up tomorrow and play at that pace, we'll have no chance. Honestly, we must be 100% better than that again, because that's a right good outfit we're about to play tomorrow night. We were up in the gantry a couple of weeks ago, Stevie, as you know, and they were very, very tidy, and they all know what they're doing, and they all know each other very well. So that's it for me. It's more of a missed opportunity on Saturday to actually put a marker down, and I just felt that we didn't do that.
For context, folks, Rangers did go through. There was 10 changes. We are through in the League Cup. There was no... It never felt like... And I know people have said it was 3-2 and then 1-8-2-1 at times and things like that. It never felt like, to me, that we were going to ever be in a position of a Queen's Park moment. It didn't ever feel like that. I felt like Rangers just played within themselves a wee bit, which is understandable considering the amount of changes. So, with that said, I think it's worth pointing out, it's not all doom and gloom. I think we maybe all just... We want to be excited. I think we want to be excited by what we're watching. Press conference day today. So we got, first of all, Davie, team news. Cyril Dessers is touch and go. Worst case scenario, will be available for the weekend. Everybody else is fit and raring to go, as the manager says. Taylor Asgard says he is ready to start in his press conference. He was good. He spoke really well, I thought. And Russell Martin was there was a few things in there which we'll discuss, but the team news being the first major one, Dujon Sterling. Why do I always try and call him Raheem Sterling? I do it all the time. Dujon Sterling is a long-term injury. He's looking at later on in October, I think, into that kind of period before we get to see him back on the training pitch. But aside of that, everyone's good to go. Cyril's the one that we're worried about, which leaves the old dilemma because he's already said that Eagleman won't start. So it's interesting because that more or less leaves you with Danilo. What did you make of the press conference comments in regard to the squad? We didn't expect much else. And Maghoma, I should add, should be in the squad. He should be registered in time, which means that you'll need to make a change, and we don't know about that just yet.
Yeah, that was the thing I was actually looking out for first, was whether the new left back was going to be registered in time for the game. To be fair, I'm not sure whether he's got the level of experience or match fitness right now to start anyway tomorrow night. I think I'd actually be quite surprised if he starts tomorrow night. But I would expect a left back to be put in the squad because there isn't one. I think after watching what I described as the left back Tombola on Saturday, when it felt as if we were just putting shirt numbers in a drum and pulling them out to see who played left back during the game. It would be good if we actually had a left back in the squad. As far as the striking position is concerned, I'm slightly disappointed what he said about Eagleman. I'm not expecting to see Dessers at all, if I'm honest. I have heard these things before about he's touch and go and he might make it and he might not. Well, that usually means he's not going to make it. So I'll be very surprised if I see him in the pitch tomorrow night.
Davey, so that normally means he's out till Christmas with Rangers.
Correct. Yeah. the Yilmaz syndrome. So Danilo, it looks as if it's going to be Danilo up front. And if he's going to play up front, I think it's really important that we get the ball into the penalty box for him rather than expect him to go and get it himself and create for himself, because he's not that kind of centre forward. So it's really going to be important what we play behind him. And we've got some choices there, haven't we? We've got Lyle Cameron could come back in. We've got Asgard who could come in. You've got Mikey Moore who might be able to play in a position like that. Then you've got the guys that have played there already, your Raskins, your Rothwell and your Diamandis. So you've got quite a lot of choice in behind there as to how you want to play. I think the certainty is the two wingers will be the two wingers that played in the last round. I can't see it not being Ant-Man and Gassama. They were both rested at the weekend. Neither come on. I'm pretty sure they're getting kept for tomorrow night. And that just leaves the defence. And no matter what defence I can come up with, I just hope we're attacking a lot, because I just want the ball at the other end of the pitch.
Another big moment today, Kenny, was something that had started over the course of the weekend, which was Nico Raskin had asked for a transfer. That news fluttered around WhatsApp. As you know, there was more rumours about how there's unrest in the squad and things like that. I took to social media yesterday. Don't really like doing it with rumours and things like that, but the Nico Raskin transfer rumour request is an absolute load of nonsense. The manager, surprisingly, was asked by this by Jane Lewis today. I didn't know if it went that kind of mainstream or it was just an internet thing, but it turns out it had. The manager slapped it down immediately, just confirming what was reported yesterday by myself in this podcast, that Nico Raskin's happy at Rangers. Now, let's clarify that. He's not asked for a transfer. If a big club comes in for Nico Raskin, I've got no doubts in my mind he'll want to make that step up. He'll want to make a big move. And that's got to suit Rangers as well. But you've also got to put somebody has to make a bid. And that's not happened yet. Nico Raskin hasn't asked for a transfer, Kenny, confirmed today. What we don't need, I think this is important as well. Things are tough enough as it is at this moment in time, even for me to say it. But we don't need these rumours. We don't need these WhatsApps. We certainly don't need our own supporters putting them on social media. And then immediately people start having a go at Nico and Nico's this and Nico's that. The stories are nonsense. We could do without this when we've got a massive fixture tomorrow night. And people say, I don't want to get into Champions League and all that. We'll get a tank and that, all fine and well. The difference for our football club this could make, the finances, the reputational step up, everything. And we'll talk about this in a wee minute. But we need our focus to be on tomorrow night. We don't need these sort of things.
Yeah, and we've seen it tonight as well, or this afternoon with Hamza Egerman and Lille, and that the timing of that's appalling as well. As for the Nico Raskin thing and you talking about WhatsApps and we don't need it, you sounded like a very old man there, Stevie. It's just the way of life nowadays. It's just what kids do. And I don't mean to sound patronising when I say that, but it is what happens. Somebody will start it for a laugh and it just grows arms, legs, and away it goes. And all of a sudden, it's that forwarded many times kind of story. And look, I don't really know what to say about these things because you're always going to get rumours and stories and hearsay about a club like this size of ours. That's fine. But you are absolutely spot on when you say the timing of this is not ideal. I think Nico Raskin will be playing tomorrow. I just hope that at the end of the day, we get an 11 out tomorrow that's all fully focused and this kind of stuff is really in the back burner. But it doesn't alter the fact that we have got 2 weeks of this window left and we do have a decision to make on that, where if Nico Raskin does feel that it's better for him to go, then it is better for him to go this summer in this window, because this is the prime time to get rid of him, Stevie. If he hangs about till January or next summer, then the value is going to go down, because with each passing month of his contract, the devaluation is just going to happen. So that's where I am with Nico Raskin. I want him to stay. I want the team almost built around him, to be honest, that midfield anyway. And for me, I'm still wanting to see him in the number 6 position, and I want to put Rothwell farther forward. And it doesn't seem like Russell Martin's going to do that. And it doesn't really make much sense to me, where you had two guys last season who played opposite roles. You know, that they are this season, they both played them very, very well. And he's chopped and changed them. I'm still struggling with that a little bit. Raskin in the 6 and Rothwell in the 8 sounds much better to me. But as for the rumour stuff, mate, it is what it is. That I'm more angry, as I say, at the Egerman one. I'll not say what I put to you in a message, but who do they think they are to do that the night before a game like that? I think that's appalling. So that's kind of where I am. Rumours are going to happen, mate. WhatsApps are... listen, there's never a day goes by where you don't get one nowadays. And glad that Russell Martin put it to bed very succinctly, put it that way.
Davie also spoke about we need to improve, we need to get better. There was no sugarcoating that. He said that quite clearly. He said there's things that we need to do and improve, but he knows that, and he knows that it was going to be never going to be straightforward right at the very start. There was going to be short-term pain in getting to where we need to be. He also spoke about trying to lift the doom and gloom, not only amongst but overall at the football club, getting people to enjoy Rangers again, getting people to enjoy things. And he also said something else that was interesting. He says that he doesn't go on social media and things like that, but then talked about message boards and criticism towards him, and that he was telling his mum he would be all right. I think that's a wee indication that Russell Martin's well aware of the fans' feelings and where they are. And although he might not go on, as he said, and he might not have a profile, I'm pretty sure that Russell Martin dips his toe in and has a wee look at what people are saying, and he'll be well aware that the pitchforks are being sharpened as we speak. But that message to lift the gloom amongst Ibrox and amongst not even just the players, the staff, but the support, where does that sit with you?
Probably I've seen it all before, to be honest with you. Rangers as a club keep telling us that we are the most successful team. We're simply the best. We welcome the chase. All these expressions that basically mean that we are number one and we sit and look down at all the rest. And then for the last 14 years, we've won one league. Even since we last won the league, we've only won 2 cups and been out of the league championship race by Christmas a couple of times. The support were never the most patient to start with, but they're just at the end of their tether. And I get all the stuff about it's a new manager. I get all the stuff. We've got 10 new players. I get all of that. But we did say the minute he was appointed, he better start well, or it's going to get really ugly. He hasn't particularly started well. Results-wise, you could argue that it could have been worse, but performance-wise, it's been pretty poor. Let's be honest. And it's a manager that most the fans didn't want at a time that most fans have just seen a takeover and expecting lots of money to get spent, and at a time where they're just at the end of their tether. They're just fed up seeing Celtic win and everything. So don't expect patience. Expecting patience is like saying I want water to be dry. It's not going to happen. So that's the world we live in. I feel heart sorry for him at times, because I think he can't do anything right for some people. I think some people just actually want to be proved right and want to jump down his throat straight away. I think he has made some decent signings. I think there are some signs going forward anyway that when it clicks together, it might be quite good to watch. But I think he has to be a little bit pragmatic over these next few weeks, especially the games we've got coming up. He can't afford a couple of Hammonds coming up. He just can't afford it. If he thinks it's been toxic up until now, if we take a couple of bad beatings, he hasn't seen anything yet. How pragmatic he's going to be, I don't know. And I know I've banged on about it before, but I'd like to see at least players played in the right position to start with, and some kind of system that protects the defence a bit better. If he does that, he's going to give himself half a chance to sort of start turning the doubters round, because that will help getting results, and results is what he needs. I
don't think there's any chance he changes his system or his beliefs or how we play, Davie. I think everything you've said there is fair. I don't have an issue with any of that. And it's pretty much how I would say a lot of the fans feel. There's a percentage that just didn't want him, and simply, I feel, want him to fail more or less, because that's the position they've seen it. You can see it in the comments even now, that people just do not like him. So we'll just need to wait and see how it all turns out. But what we do have tomorrow night, Kenny, is a massive Champions League tie against Bruges. Bruges are no mugs. They did very well last season in the Champions League, last 16, I think they got to, sitting a point behind USG after 4 games. They won at the weekend versus Vajarem, or Varagem, I don't know. There you go. That's your show, butchered as I always do, somebody's name or team's name or something. But they came to Glasgow against us and played us off the park. It was 2-0. They hit the post. They had a couple fizzing across the face of goal, and we said round about 30 minutes that was pretty incredible. And we were sitting thinking this is going to get worse. I remember, because I watched the actual vlog from that night just a couple of days ago to refresh my memory just on the situation. They were booed off at half time. We were given a bit of a chasing, and that was with them. Then they changed it, and they brought on basically the reserves, and it was a bit closer. They went to Parkhead last year in a 1-1 draw and pretty much outplayed them the whole match. And I think that was one of those ones where Celtic were a bit lucky in that game from all reporting and things like that. So we should not be underestimating by any levels. Bruges are the kind of club where I want us to get to in that level, where they qualify regularly for Champions League, but it's got to start somewhere, which is why tomorrow night and this tie is so important for us. But this is a huge ask. Realistically, it's a huge, huge ask.
Bruges are exactly the club we should be aspiring to, when I say copy, kind of try and replicate their success, European football-wise anyway, where what they have managed to do is get a recruitment policy in place where initially they started buying at 2 and 3 million and they would sell for double that. Then they upped that, and they were buying at 5 and 6 and selling at 10. They're now selling players for 45 million euros, and they're very, very successful, and they have a just this churn out of top quality players that doesn't matter who goes, they have a ready-made replacement, good to go, basically. That's what we're up against. A team that over the last few years have managed to progress themselves from a Europa League side to a Champions League side, and getting better in the Champions League as they keep doing it. That's where we need to be. We should be under no illusions about any of us about the task at hand tomorrow night, because they are a very, very good side and a very experienced side. And we are not particularly playing well, and we are not an experienced side at this level. When you look through those players, there's very few left with huge experience. So Russell Martin's a victim of, recent history with this, though, because we've done quite well in Europe over the years, but at the same time, domestically, we've been absolutely rotten, and we've listened to Philip Clement or Michael Beale or whoever over the recent, in the recent past, turn around and say things are going to get better. And that's the kind of issue that he's now at crunch time already, and that's not to put any added pressure on him. It is true. The next couple of weeks are going to define how exactly people see this. And this is a massive game, but it's such a huge opportunity to kind of progress the football club. And, when we're talking about that, get people enjoying going to see Rangers again, well, we could do well by getting us into the Champions League and making a lot of money. And we should be fully aware that we'll take a couple of spankings in the Champions League, but just about every team does against the elite teams now, and you just need to accept it to a certain degree and take the money and shake everybody's hand. But I just feel that we're in a situation where this is a cracking chance for us. We do have players here. When you look at Gassama, you look at Ant-Man, you look at a Nico Raskin, you look at an Asgard, even a Joe Rothwell there, we have players that can unlock. So I'm really looking forward to the game tomorrow night, because, as I said, and maybe repeat myself, it's kind of crunch time for them. They have to stand up tomorrow and show us what they're actually capable of. And if they play that safe way that Davie was alluding to, they will not fare well against this team tomorrow, because they'll take full advantage of it, Stevie.
Davie, they have players that can hurt us. Christos Celis is the lead player in goals and has a high XG according to all your FOTMOB stuff. Hans Vanaken, the key player in chance creation. Brandon Michele, the strong defender. He's actually a very impressive defender. Simon Mignolet's in goals. Hugo Vertlesen, versatile midfielder. They've got players everywhere. I can't pretend to be an expert on Bruges, but on the eye test, from what I've seen in the friendly, they are fast in attack. They are strong in the wings. We were not strong in the wings when we played them. I think I had a couple of times where Cortez was going in on the left and you would look to hurt them. They do play quite open and quite expansive football. So they will leave gaps. And I hope and I wonder if they will not expect the likes of Gassama and Ant-Man and stuff to be such a threat, because they had no threat from wide when they first came here. So it'll be interesting to see if that lures them into a false insecurity a wee bit. But I, again, repeat what I said today to Kenny, Davie, that this tie it's not impossible. We turn up in Europe. I get that, granted. But this is a huge ask for this Rangers team this early, especially when they haven't clicked.
Yeah. I think, well, the bookies have got Bruges at 2-5 on to qualify. So that, I think that tells you kind of where the money would go if you were going to put money on it. You need to put quite a bit of money on Bruges before you win much. The game against them in the friendly, we've changed quite a bit since then, and the team we played in both halves was a kind of hybrid team in both halves, wasn't it? I really don't know what they learned from us. We might have learned a bit about them, but I don't know what they particularly learned about us that night. But the game, something you've not mentioned with Bruges was seeing the Champions League last year. I don't know if you remember it. They went into the playoffs. They finished in the top 24, but they didn't make the last 16. They went into the playoffs. They played Atalanta. I don't know if you saw the games against Atalanta. They won the home game, and then they went across to Italy. I think they just had a 1-goal lead. And they were absolutely brilliant on the break. They were devastating. They hit Atalanta in the break really hard and really fast. They were 3-0 up just after half-time in Italy. I think they finished 3-1. But they basically cruised through against the team that had won the Europa League the year before and were top seeds in the tournament. They've got players. And that's why I'm talking about protecting our defence a bit better if we lose the ball, because I watched them on the break that night, and on the break they were absolutely sensational. By far, by an absolute mile, the best team we've played against this season so far. I mean, Panathinaikos were decent, no more. Pilsen were decent, no more. This is an absolute step up. We need to be at our best tomorrow night, and we need to cut out the mistakes. We need to do the basics right, but we need to do the basics quick, fast, and with intent as well.
Cheers for that, Davie. That cheered us all up massively, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, right, let's move on from that somewhat. Kenny, how are you lining up tomorrow night? If you were given the magic wand of picking that team, I think Butland obviously starts. Are you throwing the young lad in at left back? Giga and Suter are probably your centre backs. Who starts? Is it Tav and Aarons? Are they playing one either side? I don't think that really works. Who's your midfield? Obviously, I think the only ones that are really stick on Gassama and Ant-Man. Danilo probably plays because it's Danilo. How's everything else setting up for you? There's more than one question mark about how Russell Martin goes ahead tomorrow.
Right, I'm going to ignore everything Russell Martin said today and give him what my team would be. Butland in goal for a start, yes. Giga and Suter, yes. I'm very inclined. It actually done my nutting last Saturday when he swapped the full backs over when Tavernier came on. Absolutely done my head in, because Tavernier was doing just fine there. And I think he's probably done it with the intention of thinking about today's game, which I wish he just hadn't done it. I would play Tavernier there, because Tavernier coming into the middle, playing on the wrong side, if you like, on the left-hand side, him coming into the middle of the park, which is what he's wanting these fullbacks to do, it was really, really comfortable in there, and he can do it. So I would play Tavernier at left, Aarons at right. My midfield would be, and this won't happen, but I would play Raskin as my 6. I would probably be inclined to play Rothwell and Asgard. I think Asgard will play tomorrow. I think he'll start. I just don't think Diamandi's done enough to merit a place at all tomorrow night. I think we need people that are playing at the top of their game tomorrow. The two wingers, that's a stick on. It's Gassama and Ant-Man, I would imagine. And I would play Egerman. And if I didn't play Egerman, I'd play Dessers, even with one leg, because I thought Danny was awful on Saturday. Genuinely awful. Nothing stuck to him. Nothing. We're going to need a number 9 to do their job properly tomorrow, Stevie. We have to have that. It's so important to what they're trying to do that we need somebody where the ball's going to stick. That's why if you're giving Egerman even 45 minutes, start him and kind of change it to whoever from there. That would be my team. My only debate is in the midfield, because we've discussed this already, but I'm not overly comfortable with the way that's shaping up. I would much rather use or utilise the strengths of the individuals that we have, instead of we seem to be negating a lot of the positives that these players have at the minute. So that's what I would do, I think. But I'm interested to see Asgard, and with the bench, that'll be the strongest bench that Rangers will have had probably in a few years, Stevie, if you actually look at the quality that's going to be on it. So there's room for change and scope if it's not going exactly the way we want to see it.
Davey, how are you going tomorrow night?
Well, I'm going tomorrow. It's a bit irrelevant because I wouldn't play the same system as Russell Martin does. so it doesn't really matter that much. It's a huge left back's an enormous problem. Let's be honest. I can't see him pitching this.
It's the biggest problem. I wouldn't put Tav there. Sorry, just to say, I wouldn't put Tav there because he's not got the pace. They are raw and on wide. They have got electric pace. And if you put, it's all right against Alloa being there and comfortable coming in because they didn't really have anyone up against them. So I'm not doing that. I would probably play the young fella out there just because he's comfortable and he's natural. Whether or not that works, I don't want Max Aarons out there. I don't want James Tavernier out there. It doesn't really give you another option.
Yeah, I'm kind of half there. It's just I don't know if this young lad has played a competitive game yet this season. I don't know when he last played a competitive game. I think it might have been for Preston in the Championship last season, which it sounds a heck of a gamble to throw a 19. I think he's only played about a dozen first team games in his life, and I think he's only played about 290 minutes in his life in the first team. So, but he's a left back, and for weeks I was saying don't play Aarons at left back because he's not a left back. Play Jeffrey there because he's a left back. So to be consistent, I would play the young guy, but I don't know if we're just setting ourselves up to give him a debut that he'll never recover from, to be honest. I can see Kenny's point of view, but what I would do, regardless of who the left back is, I would probably play 2 6s tomorrow. I'd play Raskin as a left-sided 6 to protect that left side of the park and go over and help his left back. And I'd play just 1 attacking midfield instead of 2. But it's not going to happen. So there's no point in me going through this wonderful tactical masterclass that I've got in my head because it's going to just stay in my head. I'm never going to see it. I'd like to see Raskin and Rothwell in front of the defence. Raskin on the left side, Rothwell on the right. I'd like to see either Asgard or Mikey Moore as a number 10 instead of a number 8. I'd actually play them a wee bit further forward. And the 2 wingers, I mean, Igaman, it's got to be Igaman up front. Dessers isn't fit and Danilo's not good enough.
Interestingly, I would go slightly different and everybody will shout at me, and I understand why. Sticking to the system, I'd play Maghoma and I'd start Aarons at right back, but it's a toss-up between him and Tavernier at the moment with regards to the only thing that's kept me away from James Tavernier is the fact that I just don't know if he's got the pace. I'm not entirely sure Aarons has either, but Tab's also threat from set pieces. He has a good header of the ball if we can get it in. We've seen that, so it's interesting. Toss-up, really. My midfield, though, is Asgard, and it is Rothwell and it is Raskin. I think Diamandi sits this one out for me. Hasn't done enough. I would gamble on Telo Asgard. And then your front men pick themselves, Gassama and Ant-Man play. And I'm going to upset everyone by starting Danny. And the reason why I want to bring this up and start Danny is because I would start Cyril, by the way, if he was fit, but he's not. And Igaman's not ready yet. I'm thinking at 60, 70 minutes, I want Mikey Moore and Igaman coming on. Gives the place a lift, gives the crowd a lift, gives our front line a lift. So I'm playing it 2 ways, and that way. I asked the manager about the 9s. This isn't only a Danilo problem. This is a 9 issue. We're not getting our 9s in the game at all. And this is something we've talked about. Even the Middlesbrough game at home, we were talking about not involving our 9s. And he said he wants the 9s to do the run and tire the defence out so that the second guy comes on and smashes it. Well, I don't want the second guy coming on to be Danilo. I want the second guy coming on to be Igaman to have that maximum impact. So I know that people will disagree with me for starting him, and I understand that completely. Danny's also got to get service and he's got to get chances. So it's a twofold thing for me, but I want Igaman coming on, making the maximum impact, super sub-like. He can start next week in Belgium after getting game time tomorrow and on Saturday. So that's only my thinking about it. I wouldn't start somebody like Moore. I wouldn't do a Bayrami like false 9 in there or whatever. So it's interesting. We'll see what Russell Martin does. What we think is largely irrelevant. But I will go back to saying this is a hugely important game for Rangers to get into the Champions League. And it is a hard task. It is probably an uphill task. But the reason I say this is quite straightforward. Rangers need to get funds in to be able to spend more money. to sign more players, to do what they want to do. The more we get in, the more we can spend. It's all to do with the financial fair play stuff. It might be ropey, probably will be ropey. It would be a bit of a nightmare against certain teams. You would have to have a kind draw. But it would be short-term pain to try and get to where we need to be, which is regular qualifiers in the Champions League, so that we can start getting more money, start bringing in better players, bigger players, players that want to come and play in the Champions League. And by the way, if we did get into the Champions League and somehow negotiate this tie, I want us to go and spend some more money and get a couple of quality players in, and we might be able to do that. So everybody wants a 9. What happens if getting a 9 depends on what we do in the Champions League? So there's lots of things to consider, and we'll just need to find out and wait and see how we get on. But Kenny, we will move on. Jayden Maghoma is here. Jeffy is leaving. He arrived in Brazil today, or left for Brazil today. So he'll be completing that move over the next couple of days. £6 million will be in. We need more out the door. Not much else has changed. We still probably need another left back. Ridvan Yilmaz will at some point in his life return to Besiktas. So we're just going to need to figure that out and get somebody else in. We need a left-sided centre back. We need a 9. They probably need another midfielder. There's so many positions in there that we can and will do. But at least, you know, Jeffy, he done fine for us. Turning that £600,000 investment into a £6 million profit is pretty, or 6 million in the door, is pretty good work from Rangers for once.
Well, it just does go to show you that the three of us on here, none of us are stat guys. We don't do stats really on here. We're older, and the eye test does us, I think. But it does show you what these stats do, because statistically, Jeffy's numbers are through the roof. But in the eye test, I think he's bang average at best, to be honest. So if we're getting 6 million for him, and there's potential in the kid, that's the one thing I would say, absolutely. But you can't be a left back and be that incapable of defending your back post over and over and over again, and be incapable of learning the position in the year that he's been here. That's why I would be quite happy, you know, or I am quite happy to see him go, and I'm particularly happy to see us get that kind of money. The more important issue for me is guys like Yilmaz and Ben Davis and Rabbi Matondos and a few others, as we know. We need to get these guys out, and it's almost as if we're, or when I say we are, are we just going to wait to the last minute with these guys? Can they not just deal with themselves and go? I don't understand this. If you've been I don't know if it's just a pride thing, and I understand money is very important to people, but if you're getting told 5-6 weeks ago that you have no future here, you're not training with the first team squad, I would be on the phone to my agent 2-3 times a day. Get me a move. I need out of here. I don't care what it takes. Get me out of here. I can't be here. You know, to be rejected in such a manner and still be sitting here after this amount of time kind of mystifies me. And then that's regardless to the money they're on. So that's where I am with the guys that are still here. The young boy that signed, I'm not even going to try and say his name, Maghoma. Good luck to him. And I haven't seen much of him. I've seen a very short clip of about a 2 or 3 minute clip of him, and he looks pacey. That's the one thing I've noticed. He does look really quite quick. He looks decent going forward. So good luck to the kid, because welcome to Rangers, and go and smash it. And I'm like Davie, though. I wouldn't start him tomorrow, Stevie. I think that's it's unfair in the boy almost to a certain degree, because if he comes on and he does get horsed down that side, then he's got virtually no hope, in the eyes of the support right from the start. So he'd have a lot of catching up to do. So that's where I wouldn't start him tomorrow. But I would like to see him come on, even for 15-20 minutes, if we're in control of the game and stuff like that. But it's a difficult one, the left back position at the moment.
I don't know if he would be up against it in the eyes of the support. We're a very patient bunch. We'll give him at least 5-10 minutes before we all make up our mind on him. But Davie, something else did happen today as well. And listen, I'm going to try really carefully not to start swearing with this, but Lille have spent all summer trying to get Hamza Igaman. I've lost count of this stupid amount of little egg timers and sand timers and eyes and love hearts and all this absolute nonsense that's been posted online. It's a matter of time before he goes to Lille. So Lille have spent all summer trying to get this guy. They know whatever price is, which is €20 million, 17 million odd pounds. They know all this. They know where we are. And they've got in a hell of a lot of money this summer. And today they asked, can we get him on loan? Not only that, can we not bother paying for that loan? So there's no fee involved. There's no money incentive or anything. I had to go in and check Lille's CEO, was it Martin Bain? Because I was convinced, having spent years dealing with him, trying to negotiate for us. What a pile of nonsense, Davie. And it's verging on tapping up the player as well. We've got a massive game tomorrow night. Look, I think Hamza Igaman would love to make a move like that. And I'm not sure that I'd hold it against them. This is a team that's brought in, I think, 80 odd million euros or something in this summer. It's a crazy amount of money. And their option is, we've listened to you all summer. And, it's like going into a shop to buy something. And the guy says to you, here's the price, 150 quid. And you go, right, I'll give you £1. It's ridiculous. And it's very frustrating for me ahead of a big game tomorrow night. You're trying to, I would verge on saying it's tapping up our player and trying to make him unsettled and everything else. A loan for nothing. Like, honestly, I'm trying not to swear.
I must admit, you guys told me about that today. I had to check I'd read it properly because I didn't think that they're meant to be talking about making bids for Igaman for weeks and weeks. I can't believe after weeks and weeks of discussion that the latest offer sounds as if it's distinctly less than what they're meant to have offered us before. It's ridiculous. It's just absolutely. I mean, if they're saying they don't want to spend any money and they want to just take somebody off our hands, we'll give them Matondo instead then, or give them somebody else that we don't want. But Igaman's got a price. He's got four seasons left in his contract. That's what happens. I know power's all with players. If they really want to force a move, usually they can force one. But they're not. He's not going to force a move if the other team just want to take him on loan and not give us any money. That's just stupidity. But yeah, the timing's absolutely ridiculous. I think there's a lot to happen between now and the end of the month. Let's be honest here. I think there'll be a lot of movement in and out of Rangers over the next week and a bit. And I think a lot of it will be determined by how we go on against Bruges, actually. It wouldn't surprise me if we go out the Champions League if that signals Raskin might be up for sale, because I don't know if he'll want to stay in that case. It might be Igaman's up for sale in that case, but the teams still need to pay the money for them. If they're not going to pay the money for them, they won't get them. And see all these players that Kenny's talking about that we don't want, we've made it clear we don't want them. The two problems with that is, one, they're not good enough to attract very good offers. So we're struggling to get offers in for them in the first place. And secondly, they're on contracts that nobody else is wanting to pay them. So what's in it for them to go? But it wouldn't surprise me if the likes of Ben Davis and Insiala and all these guys start moving on towards the end of the window, when offers that we might not have accepted for them in July become it's all we can get, so we'll just take it.
Kenny, Lille are being wankers, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, they are. And listen, I would actually, I think it was Gary said in the chat, go and stick a cheeky loan offer, a loan bid in for one of their players. And TT's there, I think. Go and be a good centre half. We need one. Say we'll take him on loan for the season. We won't give you any money for it, though. See what they say? I mean, it's mental. It's absolutely fucking mental. That, isn't it? I mean, it is. It's crazy. And what I would do, by the way, if I was Andrew Kavanagh and Patrick Stewart, I would actually have a wee chat and actually between the two of them and if it was Andrew Cavan, I'd say to Patrick Stewart, I'll tell you what you do. Phone Hamza Egerman's agent up and turn around and say, listen, your boy's free to go for this amount of price, that's fine. But he's not going there. That is now a no-no. He is not going to Lille. That is, as you say, it's tantamount to absolutely destroying the guy's mental preparation for a game of football. What are you trying to do? That to me is appalling. I genuinely mean this. That's quite appalling to do that to a club and a player. And I don't know where that kind of idea comes from. But that's what I personally, that's what I'd do. I'd just turn around and say, Hamza, you're free to go for this amount of money, mate. We will wish you all the best if that's what you wish to do. But you ain't going to that football club. Because they did this with Alfredo Morelos a couple of seasons ago with us as well. And they turned his head as well. If you remember right, Alfie was quite keen on that move. And this is what I'm saying now. I don't get how a club can be allowed to do that kind of stuff. It's actually laughable. And yeah, on the eve of such a massive game, to do that to another football club and to do it to a player that's trying to prepare for such a massive game, yeah, that's just out of order. And I'm really, when I'm saying all this, I am trying my very best not to swear as well, because I could not believe that when I seen it. It's actually one of them that you laugh out loud, don't you? When you see it, you actually laugh at that and think, who the do you think you are to do that? I just find that mental. So, as I say, for the third time, that's what I would do. Tell Hamza, away you go if that's what you want to do, mate, but you ain't going to that football club because we're not going to deal with him.
Yes. On that note, folks, that is the end of tonight's podcast. We have been on 50 odd minutes. Don't want to bore you any further. Davie, thank you so much, mate, for joining us. Much appreciated.
My pleasure. Let's hope when the Baldies are together again next Monday, we're looking back on a couple of good victories.
It better be. I can't take any more of this negativity, that's for sure. Bruges and St Mirren. Well, Kenny, we're on the gantry tomorrow evening. It promises to be a fantastic night at Ibrox Stadium. Hopefully, we'll bring all the action from the matchday vlog.
Yeah, and I can't wait for it. You're going to drive me half around Scotland like a maniac again, so I'm looking forward to it. And really looking forward to the game tomorrow. Bring the noise, lads. You know, the girls and boys, bring the noise tomorrow. What that team's going to need it. We really do need to see what we're all about tomorrow. That's why I'm so excited about it. I genuinely do think that it's time for Russell Martin's team to stand up and show us what they're capable of tomorrow, because if they don't, we will get beat. I have no doubt in that in my mind. So, exciting game tomorrow night, and I'm buzzing for it.
Huge thanks to everybody that's joined us in the chat. Really appreciate all the support, especially from our YouTube members. If you want to become a YouTube member, the link will be in the description for as little as 99p a month. For members, on Thursday morning, Gordon Smith, Rangers Years, goes live. That's the third episode in the series. Mark Catley's is already there as well, if you want to go and check out them, as well as a number of other shows. Davey's First and Favourites is up on there as well with new podder Rob, so please go and check that out. As for Rangers ahead of tomorrow night, all we really got to say is a massive good luck to the team and to the manager and the players. Let's give us a night to remember, and hopefully it is a good one. Thank you to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Clyde Joinery, Athlon Industrial Solutions, CST Air Conditioning, and our partners, Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Folks, thanks for joining us. Have a great evening. Good luck to Rangers tomorrow night. Good night, everyone.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.